We have another new Unity ECS version 1.2.
Already?
Full released is out already. It's out
Damn,
in the wild.
that was quick.
Yeah. So there has been some pre-release versions of ECS, which I have talked about in previous episodes of the Hot Path Show, and I believe I have these clipped out on the clips channel of the Hot Path Show. You can just get to the Hot Path Show clips YouTube channel, where I've kind of gone over some of these other pre-release versions. But yeah, the full 1.2.0 version is released. I haven't actually tried because I just saw this like yesterday, but now if you go to the package manager, this should show up as basically like the latest ECS version. And you don't need to like specify the proper like version number. Like you had to put package name and version number if you're doing a pre-release package. But this is the official package. It's available now. Not a whole lot of changes, just because there had been multiple pre-release versions, some experimental and pre-release versions available. So yeah, mostly it's just kind of like fixing out a couple of those little bugs that had been probably discovered during the pre-release phases. But we do see that there are some performance improvements in the local to world system, especially when processing entities with non-dirty hierarchies and no children. They did deprecate the entity manager.copy entities. I guess the copy entities, what this did is it was kind of like a way where you could like create a copy of a prefab instance, but it wouldn't remove that prefab tag. They basically said, we're not aware of any use cases of this function outside of the entities package itself. So now this is basically an internal only API, and they say basically just use entity manager.instantiate. And I suppose if you really wanted to retain the prefab tag, you can just add the prefab tag. Is my understanding of that correct?
Yeah, I think so. And I'm pretty sure there was a discussion internally also why we wanted to remove that one, because obviously we don't want to remove stuff willy-nilly from an already released version. But I think this one was particularly concerning for a bunch of reasons. I can't remember, but there was like a whole discussion on why this one is so bad. Because I just remember that it was bad. Like it had a lot of like, how do I say this? Like it was dependent on a very specific set of cases to happen, and for all of those to be true, for it to create something correct on the other end, and it was just badness in total. There's not really a good explanation other than that. It's just API that shouldn't have been there in the exposed in the first place.
Makes sense. Well, yeah. Hope nobody out there is using copy entities and relying their project on that. So
I mean, I'm sure we just made it. Okay, it does say we deprecated it, and I'm sure, knowing most users, they will just do something like, "Oh, this internal keyword is public anyways." I've seen so many cases where users just use internal as meaning spicy public.
Nice. Beta. And then we have a couple fixes in here. Did highlight a couple of these because you see that there are some things related to the entities hierarchy window, which in my opinion is just completely broken. So any fixes and improvements to the entities hierarchy window are always welcome, because I do think that it is kind of a nice feature to have, even though if it is a little bit redundant with the regular hierarchy and doesn't have all the features that the regular hierarchy does. But I think some improvements to their fixes are good. And then there's just kind of a couple other, little minor fixes and optimizations in here. So again, nothing too crazy. This is just kind of like the main stuff in the 1.2 release. The graphics and physics package both have some very minor changes as well, like, literally like 1 or 2 entries. And then the netcode actually doesn't have any changes for the full 1.2.0 version. So yeah, any final thoughts on version 1.2.0?
No. Oh. I mean, I'm just excited to see that we are releasing so soon after.
Yeah.
Already 2 releases this year.
Well, there's been, I think, a couple of the, well, I mean, what are you referring to, like 1.1, I guess, or 1.1 was
1.2.
ended
If you
last
look
year.
on
So yeah,
the
there's
right,
a couple
you can see
versions
that,
of 1.2.
yeah, no, there are 2 versions released this year.
Oh yeah. Okay.
You can see on the right.
Oh yeah,
that
because I
it's-
remember. Yeah, because I think we went over the like 1.2.0 pre-4 on the first version or the first episode of this show because we
Yeah.
hadn't talked about it yet, but it wasn't. Yeah, actually that's this
Exactly.
year. So yeah, so exciting stuff. Glad that that's out
Great.
there, and yeah,